really matters, our families. Healthy families make healthy societies. I'm Randy.
And I'm Leslie. We're diving deep into the powerful insights of Dr. Randy's groundbreaking book, The Family Legacy: Shaping Culture from the Inside Out.
Hear inspiring stories and strategies to transform your family. We'll explore topics like communication, forgiveness, healing, parenting, marriage. We'll cover it all.
We'll have provoking conversations with experts, coaches, and real-life families who are benefiting from intentional family building.
This podcast isn't just about theories, it's about tools that you can implement today.
We all come from families, so this podcast is for you.
Join us on this incredible family journey. Subscribe now as we learn to do family as God designed.
Transforming families one episode at a time. Remember, whoever wins the family wins the culture in the end. Let's go. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Transforming Families with Randy and Leslie. I am Leslie.
And I'm Randy.
We are talking about our upcoming family school today, and we have with us Rachel Johnson, who is one of our first graduates out of the school, and she's just an amazing woman. She's a mom. She's a daughter of the King. She's a homeschooler. She's involved in ministry at her church.
She pretty much walks on water.
She pretty much walks on water, and her kids are amazing. So we're really excited to have her with us today. She's just basically going to be sharing with us her experience, really her testimony of what family school was like for her, because where do we go to learn how to do family?
Go to family school.
You go to family school, and that's what we offer here at the Family Reformation Project. So welcome, Rachel. We are so glad you're here.
Hey, thanks guys for having me.
Absolutely. So we're excited because this is part of our several episodes around the family school. We've got what we call a new cycle of the family school coming up, the beginning of 3 classes. And Rachel, first of all, we ask everybody, tell us just a little about your family.
Yeah, so I'm married to my husband, Levi. We've been married for almost 13 years. We have 3 children. Reagan and Riley will be 11 next month, and our son, Ted, is almost 9. That's a little bit about who we are, and then we live in Northern Michigan, and like you mentioned, homeschooling. I homeschool the 3 of them. We've been doing that the last couple of years, pretty much post-COVID, and that's just been a whirlwind change, but it's been a wonderful, wonderful change. So that's what we do here.
We had a chance to meet the kids last May, or this last May. Oh, they're just tremendous. Ted started giving me a hard time within 60 seconds of knowing him about my choice in football team, so I knew I liked him right away. Knew he had good parents. So, we're talking about the family school. Talk to us about what was your thinking that led to the decision for you to enroll in family school?
So yeah, with the age of our kids, I did the first one, like you guys said, about 1.5 years ago, I think it was, that we started. And I mean, deep in the throes of parenting, we're kind of post-toddler parenting, and you're through that, and you're real getting into where they're forming a lot of opinions and, a lot of things changing constantly in the actual, raising of them, and just really wanted a shift in parenting. We both, my husband and I, come from, super tight-knit families, amazing parents, raised in Christian homes. And we want to obviously continue a lot of the good parenting that we were raised with, and also like build off of that, right? We were given such a solid foundation, but we can always do more, with what we've been given. And so we just really had a heart for, when we were approached with this, just what else can we do? What can we better in our parenting and in how we do family together? And family's always been, since day one, family's been one of our biggest values. And so we wanted to spend time actually investing in learning how to do that better. And not just taking what we've been given and, going off of that, but actually diving in, like, what does God say about it? What do we need to know? And more specifically, what does God say about our family and our kids and our marriage and about us and who we are specifically? So that was really our goal for going into it. And I took family school by myself. It was, my husband was on kid duty that time, and he's like, you go ahead and take it and learn what you can and pass it along. So that's how we did that.
Yeah. And we've known you for quite a while, and It's interesting. So here's somebody, you're probably listening and you're thinking, you know what? That's what I want. Our family's not bad. It's pretty good. But boy, it could be better and things are changing, right? Our kids are growing, our approach needs to change. We've had others on our podcast sharing about their reason for going to family school, and it was more because their marriage was in crisis. And or there was, so there's a number of reasons why people decide, hey, I'm going to take some time and actually learn how to do family like God designed.
Yeah, Rachel's going to share some more about some of the things that she's passed on to her kids already at their young ages and how they're engaging with the work, which is just, her testimonies are just the best. But you said something a minute ago, Rachel, and you said invest. Yeah. And the truth is we have money and time. When we think about what are the assets we have to govern and steward in a life on this planet, and for the most part, it's our time and our money, and we invest in those things that we most value.
Yeah.
And I love that you and Levi came from really solid, biblically sound families, large families. But you knew there was more, that there's this walking in the fullness and investing into what really matters. And so you've done that with your family. And so we just applaud you. But I also want to speak to those people out there whose families, you didn't come from a great family. You really, I don't know how to do family. I just, I just did opposite of what I was raised with. When your kids might be older, they might be grown even. And this work is designed for every family, wherever you find yourself in your journey. But Rachel's really speaking to those of you out there, whether you're grandparents or maybe you're right in those throes of life with those elementary age kids. Listen up, because Rachel has some great stories.
Yeah. So before we get to the exact stories, just take a moment. So you signed up, you enrolled for family school, and you got the Zoom link, and you clicked on. And what was your experience of the classroom and the dynamics of the family school?
Great question.
So yeah, didn't really know what to expect. I had never taken a Zoom class before, so that part of it was a whole new experience for me as well. But right away, there was just this, element of just safety and love, and everyone just engaged in learning. People from all over, most people I had never met before. We're all just looking at each other's faces, but spending time each week getting to know each other. But also, as we learned a new thing about how to do family and how to do life, it was spending that time debriefing together and really being able to get vulnerable with each other and talk through the struggles, share the wins of the week, how it worked well and sometimes how it didn't work well. But to be able to get to just really be vulnerable and help each other, but also learn from each other as well. And as Randy and Leslie were teaching us and guiding us all along the way, we could also learn. And it was just, the timing of the classes worked well for me, being in the evening time. I know there were people there from all over in all time zones, but it being an evening class was wonderful. Kiddos were heading to bed. It's a more quiet time of the day for me, so I can more mentally focus at that time, less distractions and all of that. But just, I really, really enjoyed the relationships that developed through that. Even, so many continuing to this day that I never would have dreamed of, but the way they've deepened and just the culture that was created in that classroom online setting. Just honestly, even though you're via Zoom, it was amazing how much you could build connection just the way they're structured.
Yeah. You mentioned several things that I'm so glad to hear, because we intentionally built it that way. We create that safe environment, and then we deliver tools, and there's specific step-by-step thing of how we have recognized God builds family, and right out of the Word of God. And then what you said was, we would debrief them, and we would go do them as a family. And that's important. Experiential learning is a big part of the family school. This isn't just ideas that we pass on. There's ideas, but they're put inside of tools and actions and exercises. And then you go do those. And then you come back, and then there's this community of people that are all wanting to make family better in some way, and learning together, and some deep, lasting friendships. Was that your experience too? Really made some really lasting friendships.
Absolutely. A lot of deep relationships, and something that I enjoy is that it's people from all walks of life, people from all stages of life, right? So not just people with ages of my kids' ages, or people, with the same marriage I might have or similar stages. We're able to learn from everybody and then build relationships, which I think is so valuable, to have people all with different experiences.
That's so good. That's such a beautiful picture of really the greater family of God here on earth, right? Like we come to family school to learn about our families and how to improve our families, and how do we practically pass on the character and nature of God in our families. But the community that's developed in all different walks of life, all different demographics, all different age groups, is really wonderful, because there is, just like the human body, every part plays its part, right? I mean, the hand does what the hand does, the eye does what the eye does, and one isn't greater than the other. Jesus is the head, right? But in all these different walks of life and different seasons in life, there's so much that we can learn and glean from each other. And that's been our experience too, as we have led these classes. It's just been really delightful, the relationships that have been formed, and the community, right? The support.
Yeah, that's big, real big. Okay, well, but we're going to take a break here in a little bit. Before we go to break, give us one of your observations of a key learning, we call in the Word. What was the key learning from the family school? And I know there's a number of them, but some exercise, some tool that you use, and you could just give us a quick story.
I would say a really big one for us would be fact story tool. Just recognizing as we're experiencing something and creating a story around whatever the facts may be. We've been able to implement that all the time with our family, whether it's me and my husband, whether it's with our kids, or all together. But just, taking the facts of what might have happened in life, a situation that may have occurred, and breaking it down. And, what are we thinking about it? And how does God see this? And then being able to separate and recreate a new story and see it the way God sees it, if that's not how we're storying it.
And what's the benefit of doing that? Put you on the spot a little bit. So we taught that tool as a part of how to walk in the Spirit, part of our EQ, emotional intelligence protocol. But when you do that, what happens?
Just the freedom that comes from that, of being able to, not keep having to living continually under that old story that I feel creates more bondage, and you're just constantly stuck in that lie, stuck like in a loop almost, that you begin seeing everything, based on that negative story that you wrote around an experience, and it just creates bondage.
So this is important for our listeners. The first word she said, it creates freedom. So in this particular tool, it's just one of them, but this tool helps us understand that we choose how we interpret what happens in our life. And we do it most often as children when we're figuring life out. And if we choose a wrong story, if we choose something that's bad or disagrees with God, that becomes eventually an ingrained pattern of thinking, or what the Bible calls a stronghold. And so if I am pushed down on the playground as a kid, that's a fact. And I might make it mean that something's wrong with me, or that people don't like me, or that I have to somehow perform for people to like me. And we don't even realize that we do it. And this tool helps us recognize that whether we did it knowingly or unknowingly, we can go back to that fact and give it a different story. A different story might be, that person was angry and they were afraid, and so they lashed out at me. And so it isn't about me being less than or wrong or rejected or whatever. And the reason that's so important is just what you said. It creates freedom. And so these patterns left unnoticed just create problems for us for a lifetime until we fix them. And so you're teaching your children 10, 11, years old how to govern their thinking to think like God thinks. And this is profound.
Yeah, this is Romans 8:28 in action, right? It's taking everything and letting God work it for our good. It's his story. It's also taking every thought captive, right? So all of our feelings are generated out of something that we
Mhm.
believe or think in our heart. And so this tool is so revolutionary in that it takes that feeling, you identify that thought, you take it captive, and you bring it under obedience to Christ. In other words, you agree with the way God thinks about it.
Yeah.
And so to Randy's point, we believe that we're less than because we were bullied as children. We don't know this, but we're subconsciously looking for evidence moving forward to support that story because it's a story. And when we learn how to take that thought captive and get God's story around it, God's story might look like, boy, I let that happen to you, and I've turned it around because you have grown in empathy and compassion for people. And then he uses that, and his story is always the best story.
Yeah. So, and some people say, "Oh, how your children can learn how to do that?" Absolutely. We're going to come back and hear some more testimonies about just Rachel putting some of these tools from the family school into practice with her children. But first of all, just have a listen.
Are you tired of feeling disconnected from your spouse or children? Do you want to create a home filled with love, joy, and purpose? In this fast-paced, crazy world, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters: your family. The Family School is here to guide you on this incredible journey based on Dr. Randall Bixby's best-selling book, The Family Legacy: Shaping Culture from the Inside Out.
The Family School provided us with the tools and strategies to build a healthy family culture. It's amazing to experience the transformation.
The Family School is a game changer. Our communication has improved, along with our ability to forgive and stay connected. We now have a blueprint to raise our son and teach him how to lead his own family one day.
The support and community at the Family School are incredible. We're not alone in this journey.
Family School has impacted our family relationally by transforming how we interact with each other, improving our communication skills to create a safe environment for everyone to be open and fully themselves.
At the Family School, you'll discover biblical strategies, practical tools, and a supportive community that will empower your family to thrive.
Enroll in the Family School today and embark on a life-changing adventure. Through interactive classes, personalized coaching, and transformative resources, you'll learn practical techniques to heal, grow, and thrive as you build your family in God's design. Visit our website at www.thefamilyreformationproject.com. Start shaping your family's legacy now.
Join the Family School today. Learn to do family by design. Welcome back to Transforming Families with Brandy and Leslie. We're talking today with Rachel Johnson, a graduate of our Family School, and she's just sharing some stories around the tools that she learned in the school that she's been using with her 3 children. And Rachel, keep going. What else have you done that you found to really be impactful with your family?
Yeah, so another one that we use a lot is PI tool, the personal investigator. And even just most recently, within the last couple days, I was having a conversation with one of my kids, asked them how they were feeling. I could notice something was a little bit off. They couldn't really put words to it. And after a few minutes, they just said, "Hey, Mom, could you give me a couple minutes? I'm going to go to my room. I'm going to take a minute and think about what I'm feeling." We have these feeling emoji cards that they use. So they asked if I could give me they said, "Could you give me the cards first?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll get you the cards." And so they took those. They said, "I'm going to go to my room. I'll be back in a couple minutes and let you know." It's like, that's cool. Like I didn't expect it to go this far, but that's wonderful. And they rely heavily on those cards if they can't think of a word off the top of their head. And I just love that. So after a few minutes, they actually came back and they had written me out like a whole page and identified 2 feeling words. And at the top they'd written, "I am feeling, blank and blank." And they had actually written underneath each of the feeling words 2 points of why they were feeling that way, which the personal investigator goes into, what are the thoughts behind those feelings and where is that showing up? And it was amazing because the way my kids approach it now, like I said, they wouldn't be able to label it necessarily and be like, "I'm using the personal investigator tool." But it's just become so much of our part of how we operate as a family that that's just a habit for them, that's how we identify what we're feeling and how we identify like what's causing that, what is our thinking behind that feeling? And then how do we handle it? And how do we decipher what's truth in those feelings, and or what's truth behind those thoughts and all of that. And so that was just such a neat moment, even just from the last couple of days of, oh wow, this is really sticking, and it's just sort of becoming habit. Those moments don't necessarily happen every single time, but that was just one of those really celebratory victory moments.
I have to put a
Yes.
plug in for Rachel here. These emoji cards that she mentioned, she and her kids a few years ago developed these, and we're going to put Rachel's contact information down in the descriptor if you wanted to reach out. She actually makes and sells these cards, and they're flip cards, and they have pictures of emojis that all of her children picked
Laminated.
out and they're laminated. And on the back of them, there's 4 to 6 descriptor words, actual vocabulary words that match that emotion. You might remember the posters when we were kids, or if you ever went to a child psychologist, they just had the primary ones: happy, sad, angry, right? But these go into much more detail. So they're not just brilliant in helping kids identify how they're feeling if they don't have the ability to read yet. But it's also an incredible educational piece, because the words are right behind there. And especially if you're a homeschooler, my goodness, these things are brilliant. I know that she makes those, and she's happy to share those with people. So if you're interested in those, reach out to her.
And you might be listening saying, well, what's the big deal? I know if my kid's happy or sad or mad, but beyond that, what you described, Rachel, is that the purpose of that tool is to help us walk in the Spirit, help us discern between the different parts of us, our emotions, and the thinking that's actually creating our emotions. And then where's that thinking coming from, so that we get into what's really causing our behavior and our feelings in our lives, so that if we want to be transformed, and we do, right? That's our goal, to be transformed into the by the renewing of our minds. And so you're teaching your kids to identify and to critically think and to self-govern, and they're 10 or 9, 10, 11. This is an amazing, we don't teach this in our schools anymore.
No, as a matter of fact, we have what we call feeling words or soul words in our individual coaching practices. And when I first got into coaching, I was kind of shocked, where people do not have language to describe their feelings. And so by implementing this work, we can learn it at any age, but especially with children, you're teaching them how to give language, identify their feelings, give language to that. Because if you can't do that, you can't figure out how to change it.
True.
This critical thinking piece. So it's just a brilliant tool, and Rachel has come up with a brilliant visual.
Yeah, it's such a good tool. Thank you, Rachel.
Yeah.
Hey, so we could go on. I know we've heard a lot more stories, but for time's sake today, what did you have to overcome any obstacles to actually sign up and pay the money and take the time to take family school? Like, was there anything in your thinking is like, well, I don't know, or whatever, and tell us about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, right off the bat, it was an initial, immediate, like just a mental, oh yeah, this would be amazing. Like that was an easy yes. But when you think about logistically, that is a whole different type of a yes. That involves putting it into play. But obviously there's a financial commitment involved, and you want to decide, is this worth my investment? And for us, that was an easy thing. It involves making the choice, that's where our money's going to go. Obviously, as we know, money doesn't grow on trees. So, it was choosing to make that as an investment. Invest in our family was definitely worth our money. The time was another factor with having young children, with having busy lives, as everyone does, whether or not you have children, you do have a busy life. And so, it's a long commitment and it's a lot of time, but I can honestly say it was well worth the time, and obviously has continued to be the best investment we've ever made. But yeah, making the choice took a little bit of figuring out and working schedules around making sure that this was the priority and that, we could make this time work. Again, I loved the timing of it. Evening time is probably the best time because I'm with my kids all the time. So, evening time was the best for me. And I loved that on a weeknight. But Yeah, it was definitely some investment choices had to be made.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's interesting, we see it, we talk to people about the family school, and sometimes we get the deer in the headlights, like the what? Family school. And it kind of catches me now because if we wanted to learn how to garden, we wouldn't think twice about, oh, I'm going to go get a book and read it, or I'm going to get on YouTube and find a class or watch some video because I want to learn how to garden, or if I want to learn how to fix my car. Oh, I mean, it's easy. I'm going to take some time and I'm going to do some learning because I want to do that. But why not do that with family?
Yeah, we certainly do it around our professional. Like if you've
Oh,
got
yeah.
any kind of credential or licensing,
Mhm.
and I mean, it covers a broad range from auto mechanics to doctors, right?
Hairdressers.
You go through school to get a skill set, and then you continue on. There's continuing education. I know we do it with our professional credentialing. And so
Mhm.
why is there a balking when we think about making that kind of investment into the most important thing that we will
Yeah.
ever do on this planet is parenting?
Yeah.
Because the legacy and the long-term effects of not just the, let's call it 18, 25 years of raising them and getting them educated is their life. And then all of the spheres or mountains or gates of culture that our kids influence. Like, we're a little passionate about family around here, and we really do believe that all of culture flows out of family.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating. We're experiencing over these last few years, there tends to be a blind spot around family.
Mhm.
People just think, oh, I'm having kids and I take them to Sunday school and I've got them in soccer and dance and, we're busy but they're fine. And it's not saying that those things are wrong.
Right.
The point is we invest in what we're most committed to.
Yeah.
Family just doesn't happen by accident.
Unless it does.
Yeah.
So we're getting down there in our time. But Rachel, what would you say to listeners who are maybe hearing this and they're thinking, I'm interested in that. I wonder if I should take family school. What would you say to them?
I would obviously, based on my own experience, say absolutely yes. Don't even hesitate. But I would also say, even if you're unsure, at least give it a try. The least you're going to do is walk away with something. I promise, even one class has a big investment potential. So regardless of if you think you're going to last the whole time, if you think you can do some of it or all of it, any of it, Randy and Leslie do not ever have a time that we're together that you don't walk away with something, and usually many, many things that you can continue to use. So honestly, every minute is not wasted, or there's not a single minute wasted. So I would say jump in, give it all you've got, or give it whatever you do have, capacity for at that time.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah, and the classes are offered in 3 different cycles, if you will. It's a total of a 5-month commitment if you were to commit to all 3 classes. But the first one is just around family identity. That's the one that's starting up soon, and that we cover a wide range of emotional intelligence tools around how to actually do family, how to talk to your kids, how to talk to your spouse, how to listen, how to forgive. What does it look like to create that safe, fun environment in your house where everybody's seen and heard? And then the classes continue on in other areas. But to Rachel's point, yeah, sign up for even the first class. You won't be disappointed.
It's interesting to me. If you would tell me, hey, Randy, you can pay somebody $20 an hour to teach your entire family and your kids how to be successful at family. Like, who wouldn't do that? I mean, really, like, what? You can really teach me how to do family and teach my kids how to do family God's way and succeed for $20 an hour, less than $20 an hour? Are you kidding me? Like, that's an investment I would make just every day, right? I mean, how much? It's a lot cheaper than, I'm sorry, this might sound bad, a lot cheaper than a lot of therapy, or a lot cheaper than a lot of, other problems that we try to remedy family when it's broken. And we do have broken families. I'm not making light of it, but Sometimes we shy away from something because it takes some time or it takes a little money. And what we better realize that if we avoid working on our family now, there's a high likelihood that we will have to work on it a lot later. And so that's not a threat, by the way, but it is a true statement. So Rachel, any last words?
I would just say, do it. Your family is worth the investment.
I like it. Well, that's it for us. Remember, join us for Family School. Check out the details below. We hope to see you in this new round of classes, and
whoever wins the family
wins the culture in the end.
We'll see you guys next time. Thanks, Rachel.
That wraps up another inspiring episode of Transforming Families with Randy and Leslie. We hope that today's conversation has left you feeling empowered and equipped to take action.
Remember, transforming families begins with transforming ourselves. Let's be intentional, loving, and persevere. You're not alone. We're right here with you.
We believe Proverbs 24:3. Wise people are builders. They build families, businesses, and communities. Through intelligence and insight, their enterprises are established and endure.
Thanks for joining us today. We encourage you to stay connected with us on social media, join our email list, and learn more about our resources and classes at the Family School by visiting thefamilyreformationproject.com.
Remember to subscribe, share with your loved ones, and spread the word about transforming families. We'll see you on our next episode. And remember, whoever wins the family wins the culture in the end.